Alright folks, here we are for game number 3 from the March Champions Trophy Grand Finals, featuring RAZERiNSo spawning down as the Protoss in the bottom left position against his Terran opponent ClouD of Team Beat Your Maker in the top right. So here we are today on Tal'Darim Altar, one of the GSL maps. You can actually take a look at it here in the minimap. See, it is very large. With these players spawning as far away from each other as they are, we can expect to see these players at least go for an expansion here, as we might have a more macro-oriented game. Certainly, early aggression is possible, but a little bit more difficult to pull off than, say, smaller maps in the Blizzard ladder rotation. This is going to be a pretty interesting game, actually. ClouD is currently 2-0 right now against his opponent Enso. So he's going to be looking for a surefire way to just shut it out. So far we've seen he's been a pretty big fan of the Marine, Marauder, and Viking play. Also thrown in a couple medevacs there for support, but mostly Vikings in order to shut down what so far has been Enso's play, getting the gateway forces into the Colossi and just kind of going with a traditional push like that. Now, that'll work pretty well on this map. Again, the players are very far away. The Protoss player should have enough time to establish his forces, at least with the natural base there, as the StarCraft 2 client I'm running right now apparently tries to just do a remix of the soundtrack. Very interesting indeed. We can see Enso trying to micro his probes there, keeping them on the patches which will net the most income. As we're seeing, he is going to go ahead and send out that probe. Look at his money right now. He might be going ahead and dropping that expansion before the gateway or the gas. Ooh, very interesting indeed. He's got the probe hanging out there. Sure enough, there we go. As ClouD up here going for the barracks first, you see he doesn't have that command center like the Protoss does with his Nexus. We've got that Marine going to be ready to kill any sort of scouting probe that does decide to come, and I like how he's also sending down this SCV to build a depot right here. Now this is another expansion. This is also a back entry point for the Terran base. You can see one cliff, and this is actually the only other one. You can see the base itself is surrounded by a giant chasm right there. Not even sure what's going on down there at the bottom of the map, but this is the only other way, other than the choke points over here, that will give the Protoss access to the Terran. So very important to keep that scouted out. That's exactly the purpose of that depot. Now looking over here at the Protoss forces, we can see that he is going ahead with the two gateways. He's probably going to go ahead and drop down that cybernetics core in a moment or two as soon as that first gateway is done. But it's going to be important to get some early forces here to make up for the fact that he has invested a lot of money early into this Nexus, which is going to translate to a little bit in the way of a lacking army here in the early game. Here comes the Terran player, going to be scouting him out with that SCV. Now look, he's also got the Reaper on the way. That's a very good choice by the Terran player. That's actually going to give him a lot of information. Once this SCV dies, he's going to be able to come down here into the Protoss base. He could decide to enter through right here. He could also come down through the natural. He could come right here, or he could enter through the back door ramp, which is right there. A little bit hard to see in the dark like that. It looks like he's actually going to be coming in through the north, where he will actually have access to what's turning out to be a good number of probes for Enso. Look at that, man. We can see the probe count right now, 25 to 24. Of course, Terran with the Mule able to keep up there, and also both players running on one gas. We can see units right now, one Zealot compared to one of each of the barracks units that are currently available to the Terran player. But look at that, man. We got one Stalker ready to go, popped out just at the exact right moment, even with the Warp Gate technology about 25% complete. There goes the Reaper right there. Now, the Reaper did get a lot of good information. He saw the Protoss player had that expansion, and it pretty much gave the green light for the Terran player to continue investing more money into his own natural right here. You know, if he saw that the Protoss forces were a little bit bigger, didn't have that expansion, or maybe it was delayed, the Terran might have felt a little bit more inclined to kind of dump some additional money into production of army units. We see he's actually working on the Marines right now. But there's the second barracks there, and could probably expect to see some Marauders here in the near future. Probably get that stim pack upgrade, get the combat shields. Pretty standard stuff so far from what we've seen. ClouD, he really likes that bio ball with the Viking support. And I mean, hey, if it's worked so far in game number 1 and 2, why change it? You know, he's going to have plenty of time here because, like I said before, the Protoss, his expansion, it's still working. You got that robotics facility. There are both geysers looking to be claimed right now as Enso is working on the facility. Probably get that Colossi here pretty soon. Also, that Warp Gate technology. Looks like Enso's getting a little impatient with that, man. Got to get that out as soon as possible here. A little bit late. Well, not late compared to his build, but late overall. You can see it's going to be a finish about the 7:15 mark. Sure enough, there we go. Looking pretty darn good there. As we actually compare the army size right now, 52 to 48 and 42 to 32 for the probe. So the Terran has a few more in the way of army units right there. We can see a couple Marines, Marauders, nice bunker placement right there. Protoss will be allowed to get up to the top of the ramp, but keeping the bunker right here where it is, so close to the command center, will allow the SCVs to respond very quickly. And there's two mules just smashing down right there. We're actually going to see that impact the economy a good bit. Yep, sure enough, pretty typical. I mean, it was obviously to be expected, but you see it's actually allowing the Terran player to keep up despite the 10 Harvester, now 11 Harvester difference. Of course, Terran having only 3 geysers currently claimed right now is also having an impact on that. And there's another STV just coming over here trying to scout. Not going to be super effective, though. He does see the robotics bay, but, you know, probably the Terran player was expecting that. I mean, if the previous 2 games have been any indication, he's aware of the fact that Enso likes to go that Gateway Colossi build, so he's going to be building to accommodate that. And by that, I mean, you can see he's going, again, the same build as we saw in game number 1. Starport, got a reactor building just beneath it, going to see some Vikings soon. Also, got an engineering bay and an armory, so looking to get those upgrades as soon as possible here. Again, getting the second engineering bay, it's kind of showing that ClouD is pretty comfortable sitting where he's at right now. He knows the Protoss isn't in a position to attack or anything like that. And if you look at the army size right now, 66 to 78, Protoss, he definitely has a lot more in the way of probes there, 53 to 43, and he's also looking to maybe move out. He's got, no, I thought that was a couple units there, but obviously not. I am just blind like that. Thought he had a couple Stalkers headed out that way. But that is definitely not the case, as his first Colossus is just about complete. He's also getting that extended thermal lance upgrade. Now, the timing of that indicates he's not going to be pushing out super early or expecting an immediate attack. If he was, he would probably be wanting to get a few more in the way of units, probably dumping that minerals and gas into gateway units such as Stalkers, Sentries, things like that. But no, you see he's actually just choosing to save the majority of his gas for the Colossi there, and also the upgrades. Now we see a Dark Shrine is on the way. DTs will be an interesting tactic. We haven't seen that so far in games number 1 or 2, but with the inclusion of the turret right here, it's going to be a little difficult for him to get around the defenses. One option he does have, a Warp Prism. He could bring it right here. That's a little blind spot, but that'd be pretty difficult to detect. Also, you know, with the chasms being where they are, he could deploy one slightly outside of visual range and then warp in the DTs, have them cloaked. You see, there's very little detection out here. But when you look over here, he's got so many observers. He's got one... He's got 2 of them here. He's got control of the watchtower, and he's also working on placing these different proxy pylons very close to the Terran base. Oh man, look at that one, nice and tucked away right there. Terran won't see that until he actually comes over here with some SCVs and start mining. Even the command center won't actually have vision of that, I do not believe. Here comes the what I like to call the Terran observer factory, going to be scouting out the Protoss player. Looking over here, we can see he's got his forces pretty much nice position there. Make sure there's not going to be any drops or anything like that. We can see from the units lost tab, not a lot has gone on actually. There's the Terran player actually looking to move out. Got a decent number of Vikings there. Also a nice little Marine Marauder force. Got the medevacs for support, and the factory is continuing to scout up. Now, I don't know if he's actually going to be able to spot the Colossi there. A little bit of DT harassment. There comes one. Oh, not a good place to walk into right there. All right, well, we'll just keep an eye on this, see exactly what's going to be going on. I think we actually did miss a slight attack as the Terran player moved out. DT came down here, took out the bunker, but I mean, the Terran player was obviously able to push that back. You see, not a lot in the way of heavy losses there, 3 to 5, so not a huge miss. And so just keeping the DT here, making sure there's not going to be any expansion. Do you like how ClouD left behind a few forces this time to go into the bunker, make sure he's not going to suffer the same mistake as he did previously. This time he's looking to move out, got a couple more Vikings, couple more infantry forces. Looking down here, he's got 4 Colossi. Not a lot in the way of anti-air. You can see he's actually bringing over his Stalkers right here. Plenty of Zealots, going to try to keep the line held for as long as possible. All in all, he should be ready for this attack. Now, we're seeing the Protoss actually move out down the ramp, trying to go behind the Terran. It looks like he finally realizes that the attack is going to be coming right here. So he's going to be trying to defend. This will be an interesting spot to defend in. Vikings going in first, trying to take the high ground. Colossi should give vision of that. You can see they're actually pulling way far away here. One Colossus already has gone down. Inso, though, with the pylon placement, good stuff there, able to bring in a few additional forces. But the Vikings are actually doing a number to the Colossi. Look at that, one Colossi left, going to be going down very quickly there as ClouD looks to secure this expansion. More gateway units are warping in. There's the scan, afraid of some DTs. Not going to be any, though. We see with the medevacs there, able to keep that Terran army alive as he continues to push forward into the natural, where he might actually be able to go ahead and take out this robotics facility, shutting down production of the Colossi. That's going to be hurtful for the Protoss indeed. Now over here, we can see Inso is able to push back, but he's also going to be bringing in 2 robotics facilities. I do like that. He does have the money to support it here. Going to be hurting on gas a little bit once those are completed, but he's going to be doing something here to warrant, you know, the loss of that structure. He's going to rebuild in a big way and fast. Overall, ClouD made some pretty good inroads there. We can see units lost. Terran actually suffered a whole lot less from that attack, as we're seeing actually running away. The DT keeping the Terran player on his toes. Looks like Terran's actually going to be scouting out that pylon right there. Sure enough, there we go, as he does look to secure his 3rd base. Got to get that extra income to combat what he wasn't able to fully shut down. But delaying the Colossus like that, a very smart move indeed, especially since he really didn't have enough to continue pushing all the way into the Protoss force. You know, he made a nice attack, good judgment call on that, as we're seeing actually this main base has been largely mined out. You can see he's still got a few mineral patches here, but oh, look at that. We got Psystorm on the way, about 30% complete. That combined with the Colossi is going to get the Protoss some nice AoE abilities, really able to handle the Marines especially. Marauder is a little bit more resilient, but still they will fall. So we'll have to keep an eye on him. EMP will be a great counter to that. We see he's actually got the Mobius reactor, so we can expect ghosts here in the near future. Plenty of barracks with the Tech Lab add-on, so that's not going to be a problem. Not going to be a bottleneck for him. Now, Terran once again moving out. He's got a good bit of medevacs this time. He's not expecting too many Colossi, so he's probably not thinking too much about the Vikings there. You see he actually doesn't have any with him this time. DTs are trying to harass, maybe delay the Terran for as long as possible here, but we got 2 Colossi, folks. Also, I think we did have 1 High Templar down here. Yep,